Welcome, and thanks for coming out tonight for meet and greet to get to know our two candidates for place 6 on City Council, Jimbo Snyder and Roxanne Stryker. They're going to be on this November's ballot. I'm Dorothy Allen. This is Jaman Durkee, and together we administer the website, and also we create the weekly newsletters that you guys might get in your mail on Monday morning. If you don't get them and would like to, there's a notify me sign-up sheet back there. I think it's helpful because every Monday morning you get a notice in your mail about what's going on and where things are, and also because things change, you know, like where things are and combining the Halloween and so anyway, we have also hosted the meet and greet for the last 3 elections, and we've had super turnout, so I'm excited to see y'all here tonight.
Oh, yes.
If you haven't gotten it, each candidate has given us a quick bio about themselves, what they wanted you to know. We didn't ask them any questions, they just provided us the information that they thought you might want to know about them. This is a new council position that it's place 6, and it's going to be created by the proposed home rule charter. If the charter passes, then either Roxanne or Jimbo will join our other 5 council people in November or immediately after, as soon as they get sworn in. If the charter doesn't pass, then Jimbo and Roxanne both can run again for one of the 5 positions at large in May. So if the charter passes, the election will be in November. If it doesn't pass, we'll go back to the May elections with 5 council people. Speaking of the ballot, in case you haven't seen one yet, this is our ballot. You can't read it. I don't expect you to read it, but I just want to show you where on the ballot Jimbo. Why not? Why not? Jimbo and Roxanne
Been
are
replaced
there.
already.
And you have to flip the ballot over to see our propositions. So there's 2 propositions on there, so don't forget to flip your ballot over. This is a very informal session with the candidates. It's meant just to let them introduce themselves to you and let you ask city-related questions about what their values are and what they think is important to the city. You can either stand up, come up here, and ask your question. Stand up where you are, speak loud, ask your question. Or if you'd rather not, you can write it on these index cards, and I'll put it over there on that table, and you can write your questions on here, and then one of us will, either Jeremy or one of us will read the questions to the candidates. And then also, when you ask a question, let the candidates know which one you would like to respond. If you want them both to respond, that's great. I would ask that we alternate who answers the question to both candidates with each question. Roxanne, you're first on the ballot, so I'll say you take
Okay.
the first question that's coming to both of you.
Okay.
And then Jimbo, you take the next and
certainly.
keep on going. Yeah. We have about 45 minutes since there's a town hall meeting right here for the proposed home rule charter. Right after this, we know there's a lot of interest in the home rule charter, and we ask that you hold any questions about the home rule charter to the town hall meeting at 7:30, please. If you have some specific questions to them, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't ask them questions about it. I just don't want to bog down all their values and what they stand for and what they're bringing to our city by the home rule charter. And both candidates have agreed to stay after the meet and greet and go to the town hall meeting, so then you can ask them more questions if you want to. With that, I'd like to introduce Pastor Jeremy Franks from Fellowship Baptist Church. He's going to facilitate the forum tonight. He'll keep us all going and keep us all on track. I just want to do a little paid advertising for Jeremy and his church. They are an incredible incredible community partner with our city. I just hit their outreach, whether you're Baptist or not, is very influential in our city. And I really would like to thank him again for being our facilitator, and also everything you do for the church. Okay.
She did say paid, so Miss Dorothy, I'll get you that money later, so I appreciate that. I'm kidding. I'd like to start with just a brief word of prayer. We pray before our city council meetings, and I believe it's always important that we offer our prayers up to the Lord. So pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this cooler weather, Father, and we do pray that you would bring some rain, Father, for we desperately need it. Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we live in a free country where we can come together as a community, and Lord, to have these opportunities to share our values, to share our beliefs, and yes, we might disagree with one another, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. Father, I pray that as we approach each and every situation, each and every person, we would never leave behind our respect or kindness for one another. Father, I pray that as we move forward with interviewing these candidates, you would give us an opportunity to get to know them, and Lord, to have an opportunity to cast our vote. And Father, what a privilege that is. Father, thank you for the men and women in this country who made this a free country and who keep us safe, Lord. Thank you for those who are in our community, serving this community. Thank you for our police and our fire department and our maintenance department, and for all those who work to make this a wonderful and grateful community. Father, I pray that you continue to lead us and guide us by your word. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Just a reminder, she did say when we get to the question point, you can stand up or you can get these cards. Did you take these over there?
I did not. Thank you.
Figure since I had them, that meant they probably weren't there.
Yeah, there you go.
We're going to start off with a brief opportunity for each of the candidates to tell us who they are and just a little bit more about them. And we're going to start with ladies first.
Thank you. First off, I want to just thank Jaman and Dorothy for putting this on. This is I appreciate it very much. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Pastor Jeremy Franks, for facilitating, and I thank you all for coming. This is my first time to run for a city office, and so I was very glad to be able to get my name out and for you to be able to meet me. My name is Roxanne Stryker, and I have been in Morgan's Point since 2017. We bought our home, moved here in 2018. I am from Minnesota originally, if you can't hear that. We moved to Texas in 1985. I married my high school sweetheart, Dave, and he's sitting in the back. So he said he was out to support me. He just didn't realize how much it was going to involve. So, yeah. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary, wedding anniversary, and we actually celebrated it here in this community center. It was very nice. So God has blessed us with 3 children and their spouses. We have 14 grandchildren and 2 great-great-grandchildren. So for the first 20 years of our married life, I was a stay-at-home mom, and during that time, I was very, very involved in politics. From the time, I think I have voted in every election but one that I know of from the time I was 18 until now. But for those first 20 years, I went to every precinct caucus, I went to every county convention, I went to every state convention, and I even was able to go to one national convention in Houston in 1992. Then I got real busy with my career, and I went back to school about that time, and I had my LVN degree from 1973, and I went on to get my RN degree. I worked at Providence Hospital for a brief time, probably 15 years. I guess that wasn't so brief, but I worked at Providence for 15 years. During that time, I went on and got my bachelor's, eventually got my master's. I had my certifications in med-surg for a while, and then I ended up the last 15 years really focused on diabetes education. I have my certification in diabetes ed, have helped a lot of people, have taught a lot of staff and people about that. I did work at Providence first. I started the diabetes program. Then I worked at the Central Texas VA, helped a lot of veterans, and I was their diabetes program coordinator. It was a ADA approved program. And then we moved to San Antonio for the last 6 years before I retired, where I worked at Audie Murphy South Texas VA system. So it's been a good career. I feel like I've had a lot of wonderful experiences and met a lot of wonderful people. So we did own a small business for a little while in Minnesota, and I did all the accounting for that. Currently, I am serving on the Planning and Zoning. I'm serving all of you on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I started that just about 5 or 6 months ago. I was appointed to that commission. I've really enjoyed it. I feel like it's really showed me a lot how the city operates, how things work. I've been able to learn a lot from the people on the committee, as well as I've been on the website and looking up ordinances and all these things I feel like that's kind of equipped me for this. And I wasn't really planning to run quite yet, but when the position came open, I thought, this is my time, and so I decided to start. Reasons why I think you should vote for me and what I believe in. Number one, I'm a strong believer in servant leadership. I believe my job as we used to call them statesmen, but my job is to serve the residents of Morgan's Point, always making sure that the Morgan's Point interests come first. And I like what President Kennedy said years ago. It's don't ask what the country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And that is my philosophy of working. I'm a moral conservative. I believe that every standard or anything that we place has to first off meet God's standards and then the world's standards after that. I'm a fiscal conservative. As a young married and not working for many years, we had a pretty tight budget, and we always lived within our budget. We didn't go into debt, and so I feel very grateful for what I've learned about that. I believe very strongly in infrastructure, and I would like to see every time any proposal is made for any capital improvements or anything like that, that in the plan would be a plan on how we're going to put in operating costs and maintenance costs of that plan that we're putting in. And I just, think about, one guy just mentioned something about his streetlight's been out for a long, long time, and I thought, well, that would be something, it would be nice if that was part of what we do at Morgan's Point. First off, we can implement wonderful new things, but then let's maintain what we have. And then finally, I'm very practical in my approach into life. And you ask any of my friends or whatever, that I really do look at, weigh and balance out if it's going to work well or not. So I am glad to be here, and I hope you'll consider voting for me. I did send out letters to many people. If you didn't get a letter and would like one, I have one in my briefcase, so I'll give it to you afterwards. Thank you.
I think I'll just go ahead and concede now. I don't know if I can top all that.
Great.
So, congratulations. I know what I'm. Yeah, first I apologize. I did take an allergy pill about an hour and a half ago, and it obviously is not doing anything. So I do want to point out, I want to reiterate that if you do ask a question of us at your seat, please speak up. This is being streamed for folks who can't be here. So we have the microphones, which helps us, but we want to make sure that they hear what you're saying. So, Mrs. Hartman, I do want to point out that you are absolutely correct. These things are just not fun to get your legs under the table. So, which is why I'm sitting back here. I'm not trying to kick away from things. So, I'm Jimbo Snyder. A lot of you guys know me already. A lot of you have seen the activity on Facebook. I am one of the admins on the Neighbors of Morgan's Point Facebook. I'll tell you, that was just kind of fell in my lap. I didn't start it, didn't ask to run it. I was asked to pretty much take it over, long story. But anyway, so a lot of you guys know me from there. You do have my bio. I was told that it was like 1,000-word minimum, which is why mine is as long as it is. So there's really not a whole lot else that I want to cover as far as personal life. My lovely wife, Kelly, is also joining us this evening. Like it says in the bio, she's kind of the rock for me, keeps me centered on a lot of things. So I do appreciate her very much. The big thing with me is why am I here? Why do I want to run? I love this community. I think so many of us moved out here for the same reasons. We like to be out here away from the big city. We like to be in our own little neck of the woods. I'm a deer fan. I love the deer. I know that's a hot button sometime. But that's what I like about Morgan's Point. I like the quiet. I like the area that we're in. But I'm running because I think that there's a way for us to maintain that and still continue to improve on Morgan's Point, still continue to do things that will enhance the community, that will bring more things to us. We already have a ton of people that pass through. You can talk to the PD about, how many vehicles pass through daily. And they're coming and going and coming and going. So, I just think that maybe we have some opportunities that we haven't looked at yet to make use of that. People are coming through, they're gobbling up our roads and doing things. So, how about you contribute back to Morgan's Point a little bit? So, so that's kind of important to me. And you may or may not have seen some of the banners, but, I'm real big on, and I think it, embrace the past, explore the future. I think that's what we have to do. And the perfect example for me is the park right outside the door. That park was, the guys and gals did a phenomenal job on that. And so, and the kids love it, adults love it. I mean, it's just an amazing park. But they brought it up to date without destroying everything around it. And I think we can do that with everything that is here. When we start talking things about businesses, if that question comes up, I'm not talking about bringing Walmart in here. But I think there are things that we can do that we may not have tapped yet. So I would like to, kind of spearhead some of that. This has been brought up, I have zero experience in politics other than sitting on the committee for home rule. I own that. I do vote in national elections, but I have never voted here in Morgan's Point until this last election, which was school board based. So that's something I own. But I think what that does for me is that can be an advantage, and I'm hoping to use it as an advantage in that, I bring a fresh look to things. I don't know what I don't know. So maybe I throw something out and it sticks on the wall and it's a great idea and everybody rejoices, or maybe I throw something out and I get beat down and people are like, it's just a bad idea. But that's part of the learning process, and that's the direction I'm ready to go. So there you have it. That's me.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask, did everybody bring their rotten fruit to throw at the ones we don't like? Kidding.
Frozen water bottles.
Oh, that's just mean. At this time, we'll open up the floor for opportunities to ask one or both candidates a question. I would ask that you refrain from asking any questions, asking one candidate to speak to about the other candidate. Keep it about values, ideas, beliefs, things of that nature that have to do with our community, not against one another. Does anybody have a question? Yes, ma'am.
Just going based on what Jimbo said and what he has in his little bio here, I'm interested in knowing more if the home rule does pass. What type of avenues or what would be your direction in being able to pursue small businesses to come into our area?
Well,
this is a question also for us.
Okay.
yeah, no, that's a good question. So also on the Comprehensive Plan Committee, which we have just really started to pick up speed on that one. So, and one of the exercises that we're going to be going through is discussing we're going to look at the map of Morgan's Point, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of the exercise. It sounds like it's going to be fun, but look at the map of Morgan's Point, and we're going to put like little pin cushions out there, or little push pins out there, using things like, where would you like to see this type of establishment or this type of establishment? I think the thing that we're not capitalizing on as far as businesses is we have that Four Corners area, and we've had a lot of folks come and go there. And I can't answer why. I don't know the reason. I don't know if the rent's too high. I don't know if the city is not providing enough breaks. But we've got some empty buildings down there, and they're eyesores. They need to be brought. A couple of them need to be cleaned up a little bit. A little paint would help. But I think if we start focusing on those buildings down there to start with, and maybe keep that a centric location for businesses to come in, talk to folks, and they're talking about things like sandwich shops or. We've had like Cake by the Lake pop up out there, and we had the donut shop pop up out there, and as I see those doing well, it just, the thought process for me is like, why don't we have those here? Of course, now there's competition, but still, I think we can bring some businesses in and start using some of these buildings that we have out there that are open. Does that answer your question?
I was more or less looking for the methods of how you would pursue a campaign for these businesses to come in. Because I get that the
Yeah.
land is there, the opportunity is there, somehow, some way, we're probably going to address those businesses coming, but what are your ideas of bringing them here? How would you do that?
Well, we have to cater to them. I mean, and I know that
Tax incentives?
if that is a method, absolutely. I mean, if the city can offer something, we have to be able to offer something that nobody else offers. You know, we are, what was it referred, you know, we're a peninsula. We're backed in here up against the lake. So we have to be able to offer businesses something to come here. You know, I know the ladies are working real hard on the food trucks, trying to get the food trucks to come in and keep those guys. And unfortunately, I see them come in a lot of times and they don't seem to get a whole lot of business. And that's gonna obviously chase businesses away. Nobody's gonna bring a business in if they can't be productive. So we have to, you know, we have to woo them and incentives and tax breaks and just try to get them in here and show them that, look at all the things that we have to offer. So that's something, a business model or a business plan that I think we as a community need to come up with. I'm not sure if we have one right now, but a way to reach out to business owners and try to bring them in. So, and I think tax breaks is a great start. So,
Okay.
sorry.
Ms. Roxanne, yes.
In addition to that, I would also say we have an economic development committee, and I know that they are working very hard. So the first thing I would do is to get in with them, find out what they've done already, what they haven't done, and see if we can, you know, develop a plan from there.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I wonder what both of you, each one separately. I heard about the money part, but what is really the most important issue that, start with Roxanne, please. What do you think is the most important issue that Rox Point faces, aside from bringing in food trucks? Because all I ever hear is bring in money. There are other issues. What is the other most important issue?
So you're asking what each candidate thinks is the most important issue facing Morgan's Point.
Bring in money, because everybody, all of this needs money. It's very hard to afford it, like investments out in this world.
Okay.
So there should be other issues besides money.
Yes. So, Ms. Roxanne, what do you see as the most important issue Morgan's Point faces?
I'm going to go back to my belief in infrastructure. I like Morgan's Point the way it is. I think a lot of people do. And I think realistically, we're not going to get huge numbers of businesses moving in here because we are landlocked and we have a septic system that people have to use when they come in for business. But I would like to see this town maintain its small town community. I would like to see us set aside monies all the time for upkeep on our roads and our lights and, you know, all these things, the park, this beautiful park. What if somebody comes and tears some of our turf? You know, we should have, I think having a plan in place to make sure that we're keeping our city beautiful is going to be my number one priority, and working well, yeah.
Where's she at?
Okay, Jimbo.
Yeah, I don't want to, you know, parrot what she said, but absolutely. I think that is one of the, that is probably, when you look at our city right now, that is the biggest mark on the wall that we need to address. Heard from a lot of folks about their roads, you know, potholes and you know, street lamps that are out, folks that don't have street lights that would like street lights. So yeah, it all starts with the infrastructure, and I'll tie that with the business. Businesses are not going to come to us if we don't have the infrastructure to support it. The septic issue, you know, is being addressed. The water supply is being addressed. And those are things that we're going to have to, if we want people to come here, not just to come here and live, if we want people to visit and come in here and bring business in, those are things that we're going to have to look at. We've got to start improving those things and adding them where they are non-existent.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Joe Weaver. One of the things that, I'm a real estate agent, have been for a long time. My hair shows it. But what I'm interested in, one of the things that I had trouble with, selling that land out here in Morgan's Point. I always told that in order for you to be a boat slip owner or a tenant of a boat slip, you had to have property in Morgan's Point. Now, in my belief, I found out I was wrong in telling them that. But I think that we should put Morgan's Point residents first before we open the gates up for anybody and everybody to come down
Right.
to our marina.
Yes, ma'am. Is there a question for the candidates?
How do you feel about that, about changing it to where it's residents first?
It's your turn.
You know, I think on the surface that sounds great. I think that briefs well. And I have no doubt that residents can fill the marina. I know there's an extensive wait list to get a slip in there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think because it's like the swimming pool. We can't make our swimming pool private. We can't say Morgan's Point Resort residents only. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the marina probably falls underneath that. So I don't know if that's possible. I mean, that's something that we could definitely dig into. I think the big issue with the marina and the wait list, and this is something that we just can't absolutely, people ask about it, but we can't do anything because of the Corps of Engineers. Ideally, we could go out there and we could add another 4, 5, 6 docks with, 100 slips, and we would fill those, guarantee it. But that's something we can't do. So, like I said, I think that on the surface, that makes sense. It would be a benefit or a perk of living in Morgan's Point, but I just don't know if legally we can do that. I mean, that's something we'd have to look into.
Ms. Roxanne.
Well, when we moved here, we bought a boat and tried to get in the slip, and after 2 years, we gave up. And we live only half a mile from the lake. So I do think, like I said, I feel like I need to run for Morgan's Point residents first, and unless there's something I don't know about it, I would think Morgan's Point residents should get first dibs at all our slips.
Okay. Yes.
I have a question actually for Roxanne.
Okay.
I have been trying this year to learn more about the city council and planning and zoning and all of that good stuff. And God bless y'all for doing it, because I wouldn't ever do it. That being said, whenever I think about city council and I think about the charter and I think about planning and zoning commission, I think those are things that have to do with running the city. They're necessary and they can't be easy. But then you have the other part. You have the reason that I stayed here and that I wanted to raise my little girl here, and that was the community. And to me, that's NPR costs, and that's Ladies Auxiliary, and that's the cook-off, and the Halloween festival. These are the things that make us community. So I was just wondering, in addition to your planning and zoning commission, serving on that, what have you done in the community?
In the community. I went to the cook-off, or the barbecue cook-off. I was at that. I haven't been involved in a lot. And until this point, I've traveled a lot since I retired. I have a sister who is from Michigan, and we travel together for a month at a time, and or have in the past. And so I've been to a few things. Trying to think. I know I went to the barbecue cook-off. I can't think of anything else right off the top of my head. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we went to the fireman's pancake breakfast. It was really good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's, having been on the planning and zoning, one thing we did recently that I totally approved of is we made one of our corner lots. It used to be you have to have a 25-foot setback on each corner, making the land virtually useless to build on. So we made a recommendation to the city council that we would have just one of those setbacks be 25 feet. The other one could be 10 feet, like a side yard. And so that way we'd be able to use some of our empty lots. We have 3 lots that are not buildable. And the only thing we can do is, because it's right on the edge of the drainage way, we just keep it maintained. That's all we're able to do. I don't know, on some of those small lots, if we can combine them, and build on that, we would definitely recommend and encourage that. But with the ones that are too small, it's just how the city's been laid out. I'm not sure if there's anything that could be done with that. But I'll ask the chairman of the P&Z next time I meet with her.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of these lots, well, places in Morgan's Point. There's junk cars, there's garbage all over the place. Is there something we can do about cleaning these places up? We got a nice community. We keep a nice place, but there's some that are real upset.
Yeah, so, obviously, the first step is just to look at the ordinance. There are some things that, none of us like, that our neighbors do. And if the ordinance doesn't address it, or it's not listed in the code, obviously, we can't do anything about it. One of the things I've thought about, because working up at or hanging out up at the station, I won't call it working, volunteering at the station, Jay, our code enforcement guy, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know him, that is probably one of the hardest working guys on the planet, not just in the city. That guy's always coming and going, and he's always trying to dig into things. One of the things that I think we need to look at is maybe as we roll forward, of course, not this year because the budget is set, but maybe next year, we need to look at another person. Jay struggles to cover this entire city. He really does. And I know he talks to folks, and he's talked to several people where he's come back to us just sitting around the table, and he's like, yeah, this property over here, drove by it today, and after I stopped in and talked to them, they cleaned it all up. So as a citizen, what I would encourage you to do is, not telling you to rat out your neighbor, but if there's something that is obviously out of place, then we need to make sure code enforcement knows about it, and we need to get Jay energized to go over there and start working the process. It's one of those things, like I say, if it's not written in code or not in an ordinance somewhere, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. So that's one of the things that maybe moving forward, we can start to address at the council level. We start listening more to, more ideas from you guys. Hey, we don't want this, we don't want this, Is there something we can do about it? I've got no problem with somebody working on their car in a driveway. But when you throw it up on blocks full of tires and it sits there for a month because you're waiting on a part, or you didn't plan accordingly, now I start to have that becomes an eyesore. So, just kind of things that we need to look at. So, but I think it would start with council. Well, it would start with the citizens, go through Jay, bring it to council.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I lived on Cedar Trails, and one thing, we've lived there since 2018. But I would like to bring up, I walk the neighborhood, a lot of you probably see me out in my yard, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles a day. As many of you have probably noticed, a lot of our oak trees are dying. Many, okay, around every block, and they're dying because I think a lot of the reason is, I didn't know anything about oak growth when I moved here. It's in some small ordinance, in some pamphlet, in something, but I think it would behoove us that if everybody understood and really got kind of a nice little oak growth pamphlet thing, when to cut the trees, when not to cut the trees, what to do if you get it. Because we all know if you call somebody out, they get a big tree and they tell you it's going to cost $10,000, everybody gets scared and lets their trees die. Well, I've had several neighbors get oak wilt, and I've learned how to treat mine, and I lost one tree. And I live on almost 5 acres, and I have many. So it's not that hard, and I think that you can see it all over the neighborhoods.
The question, do you have a question for?
What do we do about the oak wilt?
Okay.
I'm going to call you. Seriously, that's exactly what I'm talking about with infrastructure. If you know about oak wilt, I would call you and we'd do a campaign around the city. And maybe we'd have to have some volunteers going out and looking for it and seeing if we can stop it, because it is a big concern. So, was it my turn?
I don't know, but that's perfectly fine.
It wasn't. Yeah, education is key on that. When we moved in, we've got several oaks on our property, and I didn't know anything about it until I passed Shane, who lives on the corner, with all these white buckets everywhere, and he was out there. I was like, I stopped. Can I ask you what you're doing? Never met the guy. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oak wilt. What is that? He's like, I'm treating for oak wilt. My trees are dying, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I think it is a campaign of education because we do have a lot of citizens that are out trimming their trees, and I applaud that. Clear your property, because fireman hat here. We will lose so many houses if properties are not kept clean and the brush out of there. So, but the problem is a lot of people like me are ignorant to oak wilt. So, for me, I'm like, branch right there is, it's growing into my driveway now, so I go out there and hack it off. Well, if I go start hacking other branches, now if I have oak wilt, I'm contributing to the spread. So it's got to be education, and we can use, where's my website, ladies? We can use the website for that, to start getting the information out there. A pamphlet's a great idea, so just education.
Okay. Yes, sir. Red shirt.
I'm assuming, since both you all were running, that you agreed with the charter. My question is, as a candidate, how do you feel that's important?
Jimbo.
Oh, am I up?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's obviously no secret where I stand on the charter, haven't been involved in it. The interesting thing with the charter and with both of us sitting here, and it was brought up early on, is with no home rule, we don't have a seat. So I think it goes without saying that we support it. I don't mean to speak for you, but obviously we support it in some form or fashion. So the thing that it brings to the table in my mind is just more citizen involvement. There are more opportunities for us as citizens, as council members or not, to be involved with what goes on. And that's the thing that we tried to focus on when it was being written, the compromise piece that all comes in it. And I think Officer Hodge posted a thing today. It's National Compromise Day or something. National. Yeah. So, but without the charter, we don't have a job. So it's.
Yes, I mean, you could still.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Without the charter, I'm still unemployed come November. So, but no, that's just in a nutshell. That's the big thing for me is it brings more. I hate to use the word power. More opportunities for citizens to be involved and shape the government.
I tried to get a copy of the charter for many months, and I wasn't able to get one. I did get the one that was sent in the mail to me, and I've probably read it 7 or 8 times. And I actually went out to the website and found another small community similar size to ours, and they've had a home rule charter for 13 years. Or since 2013, excuse me. And I really believe in the concept of the home rule charter, but I honestly am concerned about several things in this charter. And I'm not sure that I've looked into it, and if it passes, I will work with it and I will totally support it, but I'm just not sure it's quite ready. I think there were several things that I think could put us in big trouble. And I know that we can change it in a few years' time, but to change it before that would take initiatives and referendums and all of that would mean getting every single person who votes now to be in favor of the initiative. And so I'm a little concerned about some issues, and I'll talk about those at home rule.
Actually, now that we talked for an hour, Oakland actually brought it up. Just in case you would be elected, what would you do to keep Morgan's Point actually green? Because how I see it, and some people here probably know how I feel about it, I see a lot of greenery cut down and never replaced. Would you actually work towards keeping the city green, having a tree ordinance or a reclaimed tree ordinance? If you cut a tree, you need to plant one, something like that. I know we have here, but we put a fence around it, something like that. Just go down to Oakland Park, that thing used to be wooded. There are like 2 trees left or something. And maybe that's, those prevented out and every festivity that is happening. So
Yeah.
would you actually be willing to pursue something like that seriously?
Is it your turn?
Yes.
Okay. Whose turn is it?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. I have to answer this carefully as I'm thinking about it, because we bought a wooded property that was just totally overgrown and dead brush and bushes everywhere. And so we have cleared for the fire reason. In fact, our Morgan's Point firemen send out a dumpster for us, and we've probably filled one 30 times because it was so overgrown and a lot of dead trees in there. not every one of those trees needed replacing because it's still very congested. But we have several spots where it became bare and we planted trees. So I definitely agree with you and I encourage people that we need to keep Morgan's Point green. But I think instead of saying you take down a tree, you have to plant a tree, we have to look at the situation, say how many trees do we want in a certain size of property, because we have some places just there's trees that are fire hazards right now.
Yeah, I would be hard pressed to get on board with, if you cut a tree out of your property, you have to replace it. And that's purely because, that's the homeowner's property. If the homeowner wants to remove the tree for whatever reason, they want to replant something later, okay, I got it. I'm absolutely on board with city property, the park areas that we have, maintaining focus on those, keeping those green spaces, and weaving things in. One of the things that was brought up at the comprehensive plan was weaving things in like walking trails and bike trails, and we have parks that are available to us that we can do that at. It's just getting those things in place. Of course, there's funding involved and things of that nature that we'll have to look at. But I think we focus on those spaces first as a city in turning those in and keeping those green spaces. Cricket.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Hurt. I've been up there on that side for many years. Excuse my allergies.
I feel you.
Yeah.
This is a question for each of you. Are you for more annexation into Morgan's Point of vacant properties that exist around here? And what is your position about payment of the maintenance fee that many of us have paid since the flood? And yet some people don't because they're a homeowners association or they were exempted by Terramar Corporation when they were developing. This is a question I'd like to address.
My turn?
Yeah.
I think it's my turn. Yeah. So the maintenance fee has been terminated. Citizens don't pay that anymore? Is that? Yeah, that's been gone. Well, I was going to say, if that's not correct, and I'm sure that, I was pretty sure, but if not, then I'm in arrears, so I'm in trouble. Yeah, so a couple things on annexation. Back before Texas changed the annexation authority, if you will, of a city, we could just basically go in and start grabbing properties that wanted to join on board. And now for us to get a large clump of land, everybody's got to, all the homeowners in that area have to agree. So we just can't go pick and choose, which I think is a good thing. You want to make sure, again, that, people own their land. They may or may not want to, join our community. I don't see why they wouldn't, but that's just me. There are some things that I will tell you personally, part of my platform, if you will, and this is from a first responder side of the house, is we spend an awful lot of time responding to folks that are not in our city. And I'm all for it because we have joint agreements with other communities and things of that nature to where, the pumpkin farm, everybody and their brother was responding to that thing. And we sent a truck and the guys that were still here in the city ended up with communication. We were covering for Sparta, we were covering part of Temple, and we were covering Moffett if anything happened. So that's the nature of a joint agreement, I got it. But when it comes down to just the properties that are out there and folks just don't want to get on board, whether it's for taxes or whatever, then I'm of the mindset that, then we need to talk about the services that you are going to get from us, and start looking at that. Do I think if a property exists that we have the ability to go get, we should? And I'm not talking about, the eminent domain came up, and I'm not talking about just going, ripping properties away. If there are properties out there that, we can bring into the community and provide services for, and make them, part of our community, then yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, as long as it's the dog chasing the tail, though. As we start to go gather those properties, now we're looking at more infrastructure demand and things of that nature. So it's not just willy-nilly. We just can't go start scooping properties. I wish, but.
Yeah.
Ms. Roxanne.
I don't have anything to add, except for that, Mr. Hurd, I did pay my maintenance fee the first couple of years we were here, and then we didn't get them anymore. And I did find out that they abolish that maintenance fee. They've added on to the taxes and, call it good. So I think that's a good idea. With annexation, as far as I've been informed, that some of the properties on the other side of Morgan's Point Road that are not part of our community, I think they get water from us, and I think they have, according to Dalton, they pay twice the price of what the rest of us pay. So they're paying a higher rate for their services. And so for annexation, I think we are kind of landlocked. I'm not sure how many properties would be interested in joining us at this point.
Okay, thank you. We have about time for enough. We have enough time, for about 2 more questions. So, yes, sir.
Sir Jimbo?
Yes, sir.
Facebook group.
Mhm.
Control of communications and participation as a representative of government, those things are there's a lot of opportunity for perception of a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Would you leave that if elected as
So my initial inclination is I would maintain that, but I would put to you that if, and I understand completely, and this has actually come up a couple times with people about, posting things on behalf of the city. First thing I would tell you, if I wanted to get all the snark, well, it's a private page, I can do what I want, blah, 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 blah. That's not why I'm there. The big thing for me is information. And I'll be honest, one of the things that, man, it drives me nuts, and I think it's something that we absolutely, as a city, need to do better, is not just the information flow, getting things out, and we are doing so much better. Where's my website, ladies, again? Are doing so much better with the website than they were. Than the website was doing. Yeah. Yeah, you guys aren't garbage anymore. No, they're doing a great job. I think that page is important for a lot of people as far as getting information. But I would put to you that if enough people were really concerned about it, if enough people felt that I was not, doing my job, the city would come first, obviously. And if enough people felt that that I was not balancing, I tell you, I do take pride in, I try really hard to maintain the information piece. I have my own Facebook page where, I post my ridiculous pictures of me with 2 opposite shoes yesterday. That's the kind of day I had. So
I'm going to nudge you just a little bit to wrap it up.
So I think if there was enough concern, yeah, I would hand it over, because you're right, there is potential for perceived issues. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, one more question. Yes, sir.
Where do each of you see Morgan's Point in the future?
Do you want to put maybe a definitive time on that? 10 years, 15 years?
You're running for a position, where do you see Morgan's Point going as being a city council?
Okay.
Yeah.
Vision.
Not going anywhere. I
A
mean,
good question for us to end on.
Not going anywhere, Louis. It's on the planet. It doesn't move.
We'll let Miss Roxanne go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yes, first off, I would see that we're going to maintain our community the way a small community with good neighbors, and the reason many of us moved here, we left San Antonio because the traffic was horrendous, and we love it out here. It's very quiet. We've found the neighbors to be very friendly, so that's what I would hope to maintain at all costs. In addition, any improvements I would like to see, I agree with Jimbo about that corner. When you come in and our corner has so much just dead space there, and it would really be nice to have something that made our city look good. Whether it's a business or something, I think I would like to see that improved. And then just to continue to support each other, to keep the neighbors of Morgan's Point going. I found out a lot of things there. I found out who to call to repair my fridge after I got home and it was broke, And so there's so many things out there that is really nice to see. And I just want to keep that. I want to keep what we have.
Yeah, Louis, I'll sum it up quick, because you guys know I love to talk. And with the little slogan, embrace the past, explore the future. So 5-10 years down the road, like Roxanne said, I want to keep the things that we are, our identity. I don't want that to change, but I do think we can expand. I do think we can do some other things, and I think we can continue to make this community. I mean, everybody loves Morgan's Point. I don't know anybody out here that's just out here because they're stuck here. So, I don't know. So, but yeah, I just think, you know, we hold on to what we have, the principles and, you know, the identity that we have, but we continue to grow on that. And I think we're headed the right direction. Our council, our city manager, and everybody, I think the city is going in the right direction. I mean, we're moving, so.
Thank you. I think both candidates